Outside of contest jerseys and 30-minute heats lies something just as precious. It's what every North Shore pilgrim comes searching for, and it can happen at any time on any wave along the 7 Mile Miracle. Surfers used to do it simply for clout or bragging rights. But now, Surfline and Nike have sweetened the pot, offering $25,000 for the Wave of the Winter. This event is a one-of-a-kind competition that compares video evidence of every great ride captured from November through February, the true heart of the North Shore season.
To be named Wave of the Winter, you know, it's like, that's a pretty big thing.
It's balls to the wall, all out, go for broke, biggest and best, most intense wave wins it all.
It's something that we would have talked about over the years anyway. It's like, wow, that was probably one of the sickest waves all year. And so to be able to package it like this on Surfline and have everyone there to see it, it's a really cool thing. I like it, and it gives props to someone who might not, you know, they could just be free surfing.
No matter what, we're out here trying to get the best wave we can, and it's just nice that there's a reward for that, and you know, you get some recognition.
Of course, most of the attention is focused on the stretch of beach from Pipeline through Back Door and over to Off the Wall. These lineups are hairy enough by themselves, but add 100 of the world's best surfers to the mix, and the intensity factor goes off the charts.
Bring it, you know? Wherever it is, it doesn't even, you know, matter. It's just, it's good to see surfing moving forward.
Obviously, it is an event, but we don't really look at it as an event. You know, we're doing that. We're out there surfing, trying to catch the best wave anywhere.
There is an underlying competitive feel over here. Sure, we're all out there for the love and enjoyment of surfing, but everybody pushes each other on the North Shore. And I think that's why the craziest stuff happens over here, is because you have the world's best surfers at the world's craziest waves, putting you in situations that you probably wouldn't be in if you were just out there by yourself.
Judging surfing is about as subjective as choosing a surfboard. So who better to critique this year's entrants than guys who've been there themselves, surfing these lineups while searching for their own personal Wave of the Winter. Mr. Pipeline himself, Jerry Lopez, returned as Wave of the Winter head judge, and this year was joined by the esteemed panel of Sonny Garcia, Ross Williams, and Poncho Sullivan. Over the years, all of these judges have easily proven their worth in the North Shore's bone-crunching waters.
Having Poncho, Sonny, and Ross as my judging panel was pretty cool. Kind of took a lot of pressure off me, because if anybody knows what good surfing is, those guys do. My job as a judge is to go through all these clips and figure out who got the best ride. That was hard to pick 10 rides when there were so many, and it was really agonizing to put one ahead of the other when, you know, they were all so great.
This is the first time I really got to judge anything, so, you know, hearing the feedback of, you know, how come you didn't pick this wave or that, gave me like a taste of my own medicine, because, you know, I've been harsh on judges my entire career. You know, everybody's gonna have, you know, their favorites, and, you know, it's such a personal opinion. Every month I pick my top 10, and then, you know, the top guy I would always compare to Reef's Wave, and Reef's Wave was just so much gnarlier and so incredible compared to everybody else's.
To see that list with my name there next to Sonny Garcia and Jerry Lopez and Poncho, that's a big honor. I mean, those guys are legends of our sport here in Hawaii, and I also take it really serious. You know, $25,000 is a lot of money, and and not only that, even if it was 20 bucks, it's a big deal to say, hey, this was one of the best waves, if not, you know, the best wave ridden all winter.
For me personally, the way that I looked at the Wave of the Winter is just the criticalness of the takeoff, the size of the wave, the thickness of the wave, and the intensity, all of that. I think really getting a chance to watch all that footage was really inspiring. It was good to see a couple different angles on a few of the waves. When you see it a little bit more straight on or from the other side, sometimes it wasn't quite as critical as it may have looked.
Every year in early November, the entire surf world descends on Oahu's North Shore in anticipation of the Vans Triple Crown. 2011 saw one of the worst early seasons in recent memory, leaving those seeking a heavy water experience trying different things just to stay busy.
I knew a lot of people who came here, waited for like a whole month. You know, they came early for the Haleiwa contest, waited the whole time, lost first round in like half a foot surf and went home. And that was their North Shore season.
Yeah, November was really bad because high pressure was in control of the entire North Pacific. When you get a strong high that's basically taken over the entire North Pacific, it's going to limit storms from happening. When you don't have any storms, you don't get any swells, and it's super small.
It's kind of funny because you wouldn't see anyone surfing, like, because you weren't surfing, but you'd go to Foodland or you go to Pupukea Grill or you'd just like ride your bike down the bike path and you'd see everyone like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in yeah, what's up?
Well, this winter started off really slow, which is fine with me because, you know, I'm here for four months. We got the house, so I don't mind it being slow in the beginning when everyone's here because I know it's going to get good eventually and no one will be here.
I don't really care if it's good tomorrow or good next week. I'm just kind of hanging out at home. You know, when the waves are bad, I'm just doing things I normally do. It's that feeling. You don't think you're coming out of a wave and you make it, and that's the wave of the winter, whether it's to yourself or whether it's to the world, and that's what they think it is.
I entered one wave of the winter just because it was November, and I think there was like one entry, like Flynn doing a flip, so it's pretty cool. I didn't think I was gonna win or anything, but a lot of people saw it, so that was cool.
It was basically a Rocky Point start of the winter, or off the wall. You know, it was like little wave, like anywhere from like the 1 to like 4 foot max size, and I don't know. I was just doing my thing. You know, that's just we'll surf every day, no matter what size it is, just for fun. So it was cool. I was able to maximize the that wave drought with the backflips. It kind of kept the beginning of the winter exciting for a second.
After the dog days of November wrapped up, the North Shore finally started revving its engines in early December.
There's a demon inside me that I gotta let out.
All of a sudden I looked and some guy was dropping in and this bomb, and I was like, whoa, that was a nice line he took, and he got spit out. And fuck, ended up being reef.
I remember coming in and seeing the footage and I was just baffled, like, oh my God. It was probably the best wave I've ever seen in person.
Heavy.
Mental.
Like a heart attack in a bottle.
It stands up, it just throws, and you can see all the sand getting sucked off the bottom, and I mean, it's a gnarly wave.
The barrel had to have been bigger than a city bus. It was about as big and thick and as critical positioning as you can possibly get. When you get a wave that size and you actually get barreled, it's like you just doubled the wow factor.
He should be really proud, man. That's one of the biggest barrels ever at Off the Wall.
That one was coming in, and I kind of, you know, it's coming in fast. You're like, oh, there's kind of a little exit looking if I can catch it. And then I was like, whoa, this thing might actually like cap. And it kind of capped, and you know, I was on a quad, so I was just really hoping it was gonna hold in on the bottom turn because it was a 6'6" swallowtail. It's kind of small, and it held in on the bottom turn, and then it just like took off once I got inside the barrel, and that thing was like so bottoming out. The more bottoming out it got, just the faster that board went. Once I came out, I just kind of kept going almost out to sea. Going back, I was tripping, and then I came out.
The competitors at the Vans World Cup at Sunset Beach were faced with large, woolly surf. Sunset
was good. There was some really good surfing. You know, those young guys, I mean, did some incredible surfing.
We were all sitting there kind of cheering on the boys, and Ola managed to get like the sickest inside, you know, like end bowl barrel at Sunset. Thing just swung wide open, went super far west, hit the bowl. He just backdoored the peak, and boys were going mad. We were screaming for him. It was the sickest ride.
Taking a look at this replay. Oh, here we go.
Look at that. He just threaded that perfectly, and he actually squeaked out just a hair early to avoid.
Others tempted their fate surfing backdoor and off the wall during those swells holding a northerly tilt. And just in time for the first day of the Pipe Masters waiting period, a mammoth west swell struck the almighty pipeline, leaving even the most seasoned chargers quivering in their singlets.
Pipe Master swell, it was a longer period swell and also a little more westerly than the swell at the beginning of the month, which focused really well at Pipeline, and a good like 8 to 10, 8 to 12 foot swell with good conditions.
Yeah, Pipe Masters was sick. It was my first time ever in the Pipe Masters, contest I've been dreaming about since I was a kid, and it was everything I could have ever asked for or dreamed of. It was kind of firing.
After the Masters finished in 4 straight days of giant surf, a handful of the world's best headed home to start their holidays early. Meanwhile, New York's Balaram Stack hung around and got exactly what he came to Hawaii for.
I pulled up in it and I saw I was looking up and I saw the chandelier and I had like one little extra pump. And then I just kind of drew like a little bit of a high line and couldn't see anything. And then next thing I know, I'm coming out. And then I was like, damn, that's pretty sick, because I don't know, I didn't expect to make that at all. And then next thing I know, I'm putting my foot on my tail to do just a little air, and I don't know, it was cool.
A XXL swell arrived just after the new year, and yet another youngster tested his mettle at an Oahu outer reef.
I felt good, like everybody was like yelling and stuff. I was like, I didn't really know how big the wave was, but that was the biggest wave I ever caught.
Cole's 18 years old and surfing, 25-foot wave, and it's pretty incredible to see. These guys really stepping it up, and surfing those big waves are no joke.
Here we go, back door.
I thought, no way I'm gonna make this wave. It'll just be like a fun closeout barrel, and somehow it let me out down off the wall and came out a little funny.
The Dahui shootout was mental. Waves were firing, 10 foot plus. When they came, it was a good show.
I know I was kind of deep, and to tell you the truth, I couldn't really even see what was going on. My head was in between my legs, and I don't know, it felt really ugly. But it popped me out, and it looked cool on video. I was stoked.
It's not like a full contest where you're battling the guys in your heat. You're actually like cheering for them and hoping they get a good one.
The backdoor shootout was some of the most flawless pipeline and backdoor I've ever seen. Every morning we woke up, it was at least 6 feet, if not up to 10 feet, and straight offshore and perfect.
That was like the coolest event. That was the first year I've ever done it.
All right, so water patrol, heads up.
I just remember Dad told me, off the wall lineup. If you ever see a second reef for a nice one, come in, just go to the off the wall lineup.
Mason Ho. Oh my goodness!
After 3 days of perfect pipeline, Reef McIntosh continued his dream season by claiming the backdoor shootout crown.
Let's give it up for Mr. Reef McIntosh, the Hui backdoor shootout champion.
So the XXL swell at the end of the month, it came from definitely a different storm than what we saw at the beginning of the month. It was not a whole bunch stronger, but it was a lot bigger. And then it was also much further away. It was right off Japan, which is about 2,500 miles away from Hawaii. And while the swell, deep water swell, wasn't as big as the one earlier in the month, it was really long period with a lot of energy in the 18 to 22 second range. So that long period really helped it focus, like the outer reefs and jaws and places like that. And then pipe also really likes those long period swells. And during the peak of the swell, it kind of washed out, and that was during the Volcom event. But right when the swell was coming up and as the swell was going down, pipe really got good for a couple days there.
And here we go. Wall. Here we go.
Get up under that.
Holy steak and potatoes. Wow.
Once again, the Volcom Pipe Pro enjoyed an abundance of quality pipeline days. And after the event wrapped up, there was still a bit of swell left to see a handful of entries come in during early February. Most notably, perhaps, was last year's Wave of the Winter champ, Kalani Chapman, threading through a near impossible pipeline runner. After just 2 years of Wave of the Winter entries, a worthy pair of winners have been named. First, Kalani Chapman's Prayer at Pipe for Andy Irons. And now, Reef McIntosh's Off the Wall Slab Racer. Both completely different, both equally as deserving.
Obviously there were some good waves at Pipe that were right there, but I think what made him the winner was it's just so critical.
You know, that wave happened so early in the winter, and we had a great run of surf, but no one managed to you know, top that. In my opinion anyway, there was no questionable call on whether or not Reef was deserving of the win. I think hands down that was the wave of the winner.
Also need track to an oversized added your model. Please go back. Next year, we will deliver.
Thank you so much, everybody. I mean, after you win something like the shootout, I just thought like that was my year. That was the best year of my life. And then I'm like, oh yeah, the wave of the winner. You know, you still might win that. And I actually didn't win that. I won them both. So, you know, it's in the hands of the judges. So it doesn't matter what we all think, but there's definitely a lot of good ones in there. I don't know if I can go to bed now. I'm like fired up.
This season saw a new subcategory emerge thanks to Cliff Bar, and a very worthy John Florence earned the overall performance award, along with a $2,500 cash prize and a $6,000 donation in his name to local nonprofits.
It was really cool to see that level of surfing that was going down. Felt like you were right there in the middle of all of it.
It was great seeing all the waves, and you know, I hope more people send in more waves next year.
If you want to win the wave of the winter, you better surf the pipe a lot. Doesn't matter if you go right or left, just get a good ride.
I think it's going to be a pretty prestigious thing in a few years.
I don't really think about winning the wave of the winter. I'm just stoked to catch that wave, no matter what, at the end of the day.
By coming in on December 2nd, Reef's wave was one of the first real entries of the season, and it stood the test of time. It set the bar high enough where every other wave was compared to it throughout the entire North Shore winter. As surfers, we're constantly dealing with Mother Nature, a very uneven playing field, and a fiery Pacific Ocean that can whip up a classic swell at any point in time. But until next season, Reef can rest easy knowing he caught the wave of the winter.